The night was heavy with rain, the kind that seemed to weep with the world, pouring relentlessly as though the sky itself carried sorrow too great to contain. The streets were deserted, puddles forming in every dip of the asphalt, the air thick with cold mist. And there she was, huddled against a street lamp, her thin frame trembling, her small wheelchair slick with water, her fragile body drenched through as though the storm was trying to swallow her whole. She pressed her face into her knees, sobbing in a silence broken only by the rain's hammering. A child, maybe 12, maybe younger, abandoned in the cruelest moment of life. The world had already taken so much from her, yet now it seemed determined to strip away even her last ounce of hope. And that's when his car slowed to a stop. A sleek black SUV, its headlights cutting across the rain like a lifeline. Inside sat a man with everything the world could offer: wealth, power, a name whispered in corporate towers. Yet despite all he had, he carried a hollowness money could never fill. A millionaire, yes, but also a single father, living in quiet despair after losing the woman he loved years ago. He wasn't looking for anything that night. But fate had other plans. He stepped out into the storm, his shoes sinking into the wet pavement, his eyes locking onto the frail figure by the lamp. His heart clenched at the sight. Without hesitation, he moved closer, his voice firm but gentle. And though she resisted, though her tears mixed with the downpour, she finally lifted her face. Her eyes carried pain beyond her years, the kind of pain that comes from being left behind too many times. He didn't ask her where she came from or why she was there. Instead, he extended his hand, his voice steady as he whispered the words that would change everything. Come with me. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us spread more stories that remind us of the humanity within us all. The girl hesitated, glancing at the hand, then at the storm that refused to let up. Finally, with trembling fingers, she reached out. He guided her gently, lifting her from her soaked wheelchair, and carried her into the warmth of his car. She clung to him, her sobs still shaking her fragile frame, as the rain blurred against the windows outside. In that moment, she was no longer a nameless child in the storm. She was someone being seen, being held, being chosen. When they arrived at his home, a grand mansion of glass and stone, she stared in disbelief. The vastness of it contrasted cruelly with the emptiness she had come from. Inside, soft lights illuminated polished wood and marble, yet what struck her most wasn't the grandeur but the warmth of a fireplace flickering in the living room. For the first time in what felt like forever, she felt the embrace of heat against her shivering skin. He fetched blankets, wrapped her gently, and placed her in a large armchair. His son, a boy of 9, peeked from the staircase, curiosity in his wide eyes. He too had grown up with a hole in his heart where his mother should have been. And now here was this fragile stranger in his home, carrying secrets carved deep into her soul. The girl said little at first. She only clutched the blanket tighter, watching the flames dance, her eyes wide as though afraid this sanctuary would vanish if she blinked. Slowly, though, pieces of her story emerged. Her name was Lily. She had been abandoned by her parents long ago after an accident left her legs paralyzed. Passed from one foster home to another, she had known more doors closing than opening. That night, the foster family who had taken her in finally decided they couldn't handle her anymore. They left her on the side of the road, in the rain, as if she were disposable. She had no one, nowhere, nothing. The man listened, his jaw tightening with each word, his chest aching with a pain that wasn't even his own. He knew loss, he knew emptiness. And he recognized something in her. A silent scream he himself had once carried after losing his wife. He promised himself then, silently, that this child would never again feel discarded. Days turned into weeks. What began as a simple act of kindness grew into something neither of them could have imagined. Lily became part of their lives, not as a guest, but as family. She and the man's son grew close, laughter echoing through halls that had long known only silence. She taught him patience and resilience. He reminded her of what it meant to be carefree. The father watched as his home, once heavy with grief, blossomed with life again. Yet it wasn't easy. Lily's health was fragile, her needs demanding. Doctor's visits, physical therapy, emotional scars that ran deeper than any wound. There were nights she cried in fear, certain she would be abandoned again. Times she screamed an F. frustration when her body refused to do what she wished. The father stayed by her side, holding her hand through every storm, whispering that she mattered, that she belonged. And slowly she began to believe him. He invested not just money but heart into her healing. Therapists worked with her, specialists crafted braces and tools to help her mobility, and above all, she was showered with love. For the first time, Lily dreamed of a future not defined by what she lacked, but by what she was becoming. One evening months later, the rain fell again, so similar to the night they met. But this time, Lily wasn't outside in the cold. She was inside, by the fireplace, surrounded by family. She looked at the man and his son, her eyes glistening not with sorrow but gratitude. The rain no longer symbolized abandonment, it had become the mark of a new beginning. The father, once lost in grief, found healing through her presence. His son, once lonely, found a sister in her laughter. And Lily, once discarded, found the home she had always prayed for. It wasn't wealth that saved her, nor the grandeur of the mansion. It was love, steady, patient, unconditional love. In time the man legally adopted Lily, giving her his name and his protection. At the courthouse, as she rolled forward in her chair, tears streamed down her face when the judge declared her officially his daughter. She wasn't abandoned anymore, she wasn't unwanted, she was chosen, she was loved. And as they left the courthouse that day, the world outside seemed brighter, the sun breaking through clouds that had once felt permanent. Lily turned to the man who had saved her, and whispered the same words he had said to her that fateful night. "Come with me." Only this time, it wasn't a plea born from desperation, but a promise that wherever life took them, they would walk, or roll together, as family. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world of love's power to heal. Before we end, we'd love to hear from you. Comment below with the words, "One kindness can change lives," if you believe love and compassion truly have the power to transform someone's world. The rain that once marked a girl's despair had now become the symbol of her rebirth. A millionaire single dad, once broken by loss, and a disabled girl, once shattered by abandonment, had found each other in the storm. And together, they built a family, proving that sometimes the most powerful words one can ever hear are simply, "Come with me."